Hi, this is Dominic from Paphos Life, and in this film we're driving from Kathikas all the way to White River Beach via the Akamas. So let's have the map up first of all. And we're starting off with a little drive in Kathikas, then we're following the Moundiko Nature Trail down past where that little farm is, if you know the route where I'm talking about. And we're going to carry on the road, because let's face it, that's pretty much all you can do, till we get to past that little church and the main coast road. And then we're going to park just above White River Beach. So first of all, this is Kathikas. It's a very nice village. It's also a good place to visit if you're hungry, because there are about 10 or more restaurants here. And in the quieter times of the year, from what I remember, they do make a habit of making sure that at least one of them's open, no matter what day of the week it is. I mention this because people have been asking what Paphos is like in January and February. It is wet, no wetter than you'd be in England, but it does rain then. But it's still very nice, and places are still open. It's not like Patamas where it closes, or Ayia. Anyway, this is Kathikas. They got very nice stoned cobbled road there, and when we come out the other side we'll be going on the road that goes from Paya all the way to Polis. There was some cycle competition going on, I think, because there were an awful lot of push bikers around. But we're turning right here, and the first thing we're going to be doing is going on the farm track, which also forms part of the Moundiko Nature Trail. I did do a blog articles on this a year or two ago, which I can stick links up, we'll put them in the text. It's a very, very nice nature trail, and depending on how reliable your car is, you can drive part of the way if you want to get to the heart of it, because it's quite a long one. There is parking further on the trail, which I'll show you. Now if you're coming in this direction, that road, is it that one? No, I think it's the next one. Yeah, that's the one you would actually take if you wanted to follow the trail, but I'm going to go from the next one along, because that's where the actual, if you like, first sign of the nature trail is. Now you can see that green thing there. It's a nice little nature trail sign pointing you this way. You go past the winery here as well, pretty much straight away. Now, this is a long film. It's about half an hour long. And a lot of the countryside is samey, so I may have trouble finding things to waffle about for the whole of the journey, but we'll see how we go. But if the music gets a bit louder for a time, that's me running out of steam. Anyway, it'll make a change, because recently, over the last few days, my output has been pretty much dominated by the flooding and the rainfall and the storms that we had in Paphos, which is now all being cleared up, I'm pleased to say. So it is nice to get out and about. I should stress though that I made this film before all that happened. So obviously this part of the journey is still doable. I'm not sure what the roads are like further on when it gets a bit more off-roady. So don't just jump in your car and follow my route without bearing that in mind, because rain can play havoc on some of the roads in the Akamas and just in the countryside in general. And there was a lot of it. There wasn't as much as some people were claiming though. I did see a ridiculous film where they'd intersperse footage from bad flooding they had in New Zealand or whatever. And the thing that got me laughing just mainly was the fact that it was in daylight, all their footage, and the rain and the storm happened at night. But there you go. Well, I would say if you're going to make films, at least use your own footage and keep it honest. But that's enough of me climbing, and I'm climbing down from my pulpit now. So yes, this is all part of the Moundiko Nature Trail, and later I'll tell you where you have to turn off to follow that. Now if you like our films and all the stuff we do, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and share them far and wide, because the more you do that, the more it will benefit us with YouTube's ever complicated algorithm. And if you want to help us out financially, and I please hope you do, then go to our buymeacoffee.com/Paphos Live page and chuck us a few coffees. And if you want something back in return, go to etsy.com/shop/Paphos Life. There you can get calendars, which would be topical at the moment, cups, you name it, pictures of all the nice stuff, mainly drone footage that we've taken. Have a look on there, and you might find something you can give to someone as Christmas or treat yourself. Also, follow us on Facebook, our Paphos Live Facebook page. It's got, I think it's over 73,000 followers now. Or Paphos Chat, our chat group, if you want to say hello. Or you can even join Cyprus Chat, which covers more of the whole of the Cyprus, which is another Facebook group. So that's all the marketing out the way, performed as professionally as ever. And now just coming up a hill. I have been down here in the past gorge hunting, because aside from the major gorges, there are lots of other little ones dotted around the Akamas and elsewhere. And ever since I moved here, I've always been fascinated in finding them. And most of the ones I have found, I have to say, are unusual in the sense that, like, they're just completely full of vegetation at the bottom. But there was one to the right of here that I had a bit of fun climbing down. But there's a big one also coming up on the left, which was featured in the press recently. But yes, I mean, this part of the route should still be okay for driving. But when you get the hills and this kind of road quality, you can see how easily it'll turn into a quagmire, especially if you have tractors driving up and down. I'm talking about what it would be like after the rain. Countryside at the moment is mainly vineyards here. Now you will get goats further on, and sheep, I think. And speaking of YouTube, one thing, because I was looking at the stats as I like to of the various films I've done, and normally YouTube, I have about a 60-40 split in 60% of the audience will be male for whatever reason. In Facebook, it's the same ratio but reversed, i.e. 60% are female. But bizarrely, if you've seen that film I did on Bulgaria hotel renovation, it's like over 92% of the people who watched that are men. I don't know why, because I mean, it's a new hotel, be a spa there or something, but obviously the building part of it only seems to appeal to men. And that's not me being sexist, I'm just reporting on actual data, so to speak. Right, there was a nice lookout point just there. And this part of the route has actually been done up very well. You can see the crash barrier there, but the quality of the whole thing is a lot better than it used to be. And I know that they've been, this is one of the, if you like, the main artery roads into the Akamas, when all the roadworks have been completed and renovated. But don't think for 1 minute that the whole of this trip is like this, because when you get to the farm after that, they seem to have stopped. I'm not sure how well those crash barriers would work if you actually careened into them. Now, on the far side of that valley, you can see a lovely bit of erosion, and I've always been fascinated by that ever since I first drove down here many years ago. And it's actually a lot more solid than it looks. Because you compare pictures like taken from year to year, and it's not like, it's more stable than you would think, is all I can say. Surprisingly so, to be honest. And there's a sharp turning here. If you want to go that way, I would just go further down and turn round up here though. It's a lot easier. That will take you back up towards Panama Rodes. But we're going to go straight up here. And if memory serves me right, because as I said, I filmed this one about a week ago. I think one of my cats is just about to join me. We're going to have a Cyprus traffic jam just up here. But yeah, that Ever Gorge film I was talking about, that's the gorges to the left of here. And the people who did it, they went down the side of the hill further along around. But you can also, I think, get to it from just by following that track on the left there. So I'm going to be giving that a go some point in the future. Preferably not after it's been raining. And see how I get on. But yes, these sheep were waiting to be fed, or had just been fed, I'm not sure. And when you come across things like this, don't toot your horn or be a jackass, just take your time. Now get out of your way. That's Snufkin. Come on, get out of the way. This is me getting impatient now. It's alright when you're there because you're going to get to see lots of little cute sheep. I mean, some of the ones out of the picture. But the farmer's finally decided to show a bit of an interest. And away we go. Little wave. Thank you very much. If you are doing this nature trail on foot, by the way, bear in mind that there's a sheep farm there. So if you've got a dog with you, make absolutely sure you got it on a lead. Also because there'll be dogs at that sheep farm on numerous occasions, and so you don't want to have a nasty situation arise. The views from here, which you can't really see on with this camera, are amazing, especially to the left. Thing is, if this does become one of the main artery roads to in the Akamas, they might want to widen it a bit, because if there are more cars using it, it's not very wide there. I can see them having issues. Then you get to this lovely plateau on top, and there are a few goat farms around here. And the nature trail will have split in two. I mean, we're going down the bit you'd go at the start, and it'll bring you back to our left here later on. It's a lovely walk. I mean, I did the article in springtime, and I have to say it's prettier then because there's lots of spring flowers around and it's very green. But even now, it looks lovely. You can see they've done the road up here, but someone's had to drive through it. It's like a Cyprus tradition. They tape off the roads, but people will they don't care. I can't think what it must do to their tyres though. But there you go. Now you'll notice that after that bit of concrete, the road is beginning to deteriorate again. Some preparers gave up in disgust. But this is still where the nature trail goes. You can see all these channels that have been formed due to rain. They'll be quite a lot worse now, I'd imagine, after the storms. I was down in Old Town the other day, and I parked in the lower car park because we wanted to go to have a coffee up in one of the coffee shops. And there you could see, that very steep curved road that goes from Old Town down to the lower car park. Well, below that, all the water had just come tumbling off the roads and down that embankment, and it made quite a few big, sort of like micro gorges in the side of it. And you can see all the irrigation pipes below the grass that had been laid. Very bizarre. Yep, now the road is definitely not really suitable for a regular car, and it gets bumpier still. You see, sometimes it's so bumpy that the camera has a bit of trouble working out what the actual horizon level should be, because it does a very, very good job of leveling the footage. I mean, if you saw unstabilized footage, it would be atrocious. I mean, when we first started doing films on YouTube, it's why I did, to start with, it was why I didn't do films, and I just concentrated on blog articles. I mean, I still do blog articles, but at the time the cameras just, I mean, action cameras just weren't up to it, because I like driving off road and stuff like that. The footage would be unusable. Sorry, it would be unusual as well, but definitely unusable. If you go back to our start of our channel, you'll see a couple that I posted, and I'll leave them there for posterity. There's a big goat farm on the right up here. There's a little goat there as well, and small goats. But also there's is a cave. And when I was doing the Nature Trail article, I did go in search of it, and eventually, after a couple of visits, I found it. It was incredibly overgrown and really not worth your effort to look for. However, the scenery and the views right next to it were pretty stunning, so if you want a bit of fun, go on a little cave hunt. And rest assured, it is there. It took me a while to find it, because it wasn't like in the side of a cliff, if that makes sense. I guess at some point it's probably used as a home for goats and stuff anyway. And now up here, they've repaired one of the stone shacks that you get, so you can see what it's like for the crofters. On there, on the left that was, which also indicates that soon we will be coming to the turning which you will need to take if you are following the nature trail. Obviously, if you're doing that, you'll be on foot. Now, the sign, if I remember rightly, was actually on the floor. Might have been there. Or was it the next one? I can't remember exactly. But they had put signs up, and but that one was lying down for some reason. Now I do remember that from that route onward, from that point onwards, the trail got a bit hit and miss for a while anyway. And I found myself doing some bushwhacking in order to get to the cliffs that are on the other side of the plateau that we're on now. But when you do get there, you then just turn left, and it'll take you back onto the road just before, I mean, just at the end of that hill we came up after the farm. But now we're heading down to, there's a little church just above White River Beach. It's a Russian one from what I remember, Russian Orthodox. We got a fair bit to go before then. Just getting ahead of myself. Yes, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed all the storm films that we've posted, and seeing how quickly Paphos recovered from it, because they did a sterling job, all the cleaners. And when I was out yesterday, you could see them, they were emptying all the block drains and stuff, doing a good job. I mean, it does happen, it's not an annual event, But I mean, when we were here in 2016, one of the first articles I wrote was about flooding that had happened at the seafront. And there's only about 5 pictures, but you can see clearly there, but a similar situation. But it's always a talking point when it's the first time of the year. But people do seem to like seeing footage of it raining in Paphos. Whether there's some sort of satisfaction that you get in when you're back in England or wherever you are in the cold winter, and you can go and see that, yes, it does rain in Paphos too occasionally. But one thing that disappointed me about the storms actually was that there was no, the sea was really, really calm still. As you can see here though, the road has deteriorated somewhat, and I'd imagine that this section is probably quite a lot worse now after all that rain we had. So do bear that in mind if you follow this route. Yep, so people just like seeing films of storms, I've decided. And it'd be interesting to actually see whether it's mainly men who like seeing the storms or whether that's more evenly split. I can hear a dog in the background now. Could be the neighbour's dog Bonnie being taken for a walk. Maybe that it's a passing dog barking at our cats. I have to say our cats do have a tendency of bullying some of the dogs that go past. It's quite embarrassing. Especially little Minxie. I mean, when she can like grow to twice her size when she puffs her fur out and everything. And she has this weird walk where it's almost like her back legs are trying to walk at the same level as her front legs. But most people are good. I mean, see, most people who take dogs for walks around where we live will have them on leads and stuff. At least when they go past the cats. We have had a couple of times a dog appear in the back garden, but you can soon chase them out, and sometimes they live to regret it, and I'll have a cat scratch on their nose and stuff like that. All part of the joys of living in a rural area. So yes, this road now is definitely not sort of like two-wheel drive friendly, and it's definitely not rental car friendly either. This keeps cropping up, but if you break down here, good luck getting the rental guys to come up and pick your car up without charging you an exorbitant fee. Some of them apparently have GPS trackers in. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what they say. It's also, and this is definitely worth bearing in mind, it's quite easy here to get a puncture on the rocks. I know this because this road especially, when I drove here when we first came over, and cough cough, I was in a rental car as well, I quite frequently get, in my defence it was a 4x4 rental, but I'd get punctures here, and I've had to change numerous ones. Now, these days, we have better tyres, which are designed for off-roading, so you're much less likely to get them. But so fundamentally, though, make sure if you do go out here, you've got a spare tyre. That's the first point. And also, if it's a rental car or a new car and you haven't changed the tyre before, I was deciding which way to go here, by the way, because occasionally, if the road's blocked due to bad quality, now another one will spring up next to it, so I decided to take this one to see if that was any better. It wasn't, but I guess if and when it all fills up with rain, this will become the more viable route. Yeah, anyway, so make sure that you can change the tyre before you get there. The reason I say this is because once, when we had a new second-hand car and we got a puncture in the middle of nowhere, I could take the wheel off okay, but before we'd just bought the car, and they'd changed all the tyres and the wheels prior to selling the car to us, but they hadn't changed the spare tyre wheel, and they had different bolt sizes to all the evers and to the I don't know what you call it, that thing you use to taking off the wheels, that square cross-shaped thing, big spanner. So it didn't work. I was unable to take off the spare wheel. So I'd taken off the punctured one, and that was it. We were completely stuck. So I had to, we had to phone up the insurance, and luckily there was a lot of arguments because we were right on the border between Paphos and Limassol. I think I might have told you the story before, in which case I do apologise for being boring, but it's relevant here because it's all about off-road driving. And yeah, so basically the Paphos recovery people passed us over to the Limassol recovery people, and they'd passed us back again because we were right on the border. But eventually someone came and they just plonked our car on the back of their tow truck with us in it, and they drove us down this winding hill to the nearest garage where they did a repair job. Eventually we took the tyres to Costas because they're the best for tyres, really. Don't take our word for it. Costas in Paphos. Pretty much most people will recommend them, I think. Anyway, that killed a bit of time, which is good. You will get quite a few side roads here. If you're unsure, just park your car up, not in the centre of the main road, find a lay-by or whatever, and just wander down them on foot, because you may find they lead to some very nice viewpoints. Normally they're places where hunters, who shouldn't be here anyway, up here, have gone to do some shooting there. And you know it's hunters, because there'll be a shitload of shotgun cartridges and boxes and general litter that they've left in a bush or something. They're messy buggers. Not all of them, of course, the same as fishermen. Not all fishermen are messy, but there are definitely bad apples. See, the road now has gone completely downhill. But it's all good fun. And in the distance you'll be able to see Ioannissos Island, which is a very good landmark to be aware of, because that means that if you see that, that's where Gorges is. And there's the church you can see I was talking about. Now, this church got more popular recently when they were doing up the road to Lava Bay from here, because in order to get to Last Castle restaurant, you had to drive up here past that. And there was a new, well, basically there was an old track which was terrible, which they obviously sent a bulldozer down to make it more accessible so that people could still drive up to Last Castle. Now, since the road at the bottom is now reopened, this is pretty much redundant, but you will still see signs pointing to you with information about the Last Castle. You can happily ignore them now. But we're going this way anyway because I want to go to White River Beach. Some hikers on the way. Now, this is also a way you can drive to get to Akamas Gorge. Because they did this up, it's probably easier getting to Akamas Gorge in a car this way than the previous route that goes via Last Castle. Only because the bit from Last Castle down to Akamas Gorge is a bit dodgy still. So we're going left here. It's signposted as the new route to Lava Bay, to Last Castle as well, but this isn't anymore because they've opened, as I said, the road below again. I think Last Castle's closed now for winter anyway. But here we go, and every time I come down this hill I can see more and more development on the left. It's one of the reasons for the water shortages they have in Paya, no doubt. I did notice on the press actually today, but there's a indefinite strike by the concrete manufacturers. So it'll be interesting to see the effect that has on building work, where it's kind of fundamental. So I doubt the strike will last long, just because there's so much building work going on. And speaking of building work, there's been nothing to report for months now about the motorway from Paphos to Polis. I'm going to do an article on that at some point. It's all too depressing, really. I think about 20% in with the project, the people doing it are now claiming they need more money, etc., etc. It's worthy of its own article, though. I'm not going to start talking about that now because I'm pretty much at the end of this film anyway, but I will do something on that in the near future. It will get finished eventually, it's just going to take a while from what I can see. Anyway, we're coming down to White River Beach now. We're going to park up topside, but I did notice that you can drive all the way up to the beach again now. The fence is now open again, so bear that in mind. And there's lots of stone towers there. It's very nice, and it's a good place for snorkeling too. Okay, well, thank you for that. I hope you've enjoyed that drive. There's a little tower right in front of us. Anyway, take care. Cheers.